Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Touliatos and brought to you by his website, gtool.com, gtoul.com. You can get this book there, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, also available on amazon.com. Dr. Touliatos is also a monthly columnist in Muscular Development Magazine, contributed to many other books and magazines. Please welcome all the way from Athens, Greece, Dr. George T. How are you, sir?
Hello, Ron. I'm fine. I just made my suitcase for Wednesday trip, and I'm coming with a lot of hopes and expectations to the new world. It's my second trip there, yes. And I have a couple of books signed to give it to some friends of mine.
Awesome.
And hopefully I can make some new connections, you know.
Of course.
Yes. So I come to the States as Dr. T this time, and to be more familiar to people through muscular development and the other interviews I have made, also anabolics.
Yeah.
And yes, after Vegas, I will fly to Denver in order to meet Bill Welling.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we catch up for a while because he couldn't make it to Vegas, so he paid me the ticket and a night in Vegas in Denver, because he's thinking something about the platform, about how to do consultations with doctors and patients regarding HRT and longevity. So I'm willing to offer my my help, and this is something I also do in the UK through Skype, of course.
Yeah.
So yes, this is something growing, the replacement therapy and the age management and the longevity, and it's getting very popular worldwide.
Wow. You know, while you're in Denver, I hope you get a chance to check out that gym, Armbrust Pro Gym, where Phil Heath trains.
Oh yeah.
Ivana Vucic. There's a few pros that train there. It looks, I've seen pictures and videos. The place looks amazing. I'd love to get there someday.
I mean, Denver is famous about Aspen, right? Colorado. Aspen,
Yeah.
skiing.
I'm not sure how close they are geographically. I remember I drove up Aspen Mountain in a U-Haul. It was brutal.
I spent my very first night in Denver when I first entered to the United States. It was late of February for the Arnold Classic. It was really freezing.
Yeah.
See, the mountains were snowed. Yeah. And yes, after that we went to Columbus. But Colorado is hills, right? It's mountains. It's
all mountains. The Rocky Mountains.
High altitude. Yes.
Yeah, they get 10 to 20 feet of snow every winter total. It's crazy. Yeah, we think, I'm in Boston, we get snow, but they get real snow. Yeah.
So how did Chopin pick up the open class as expected?
You called it,
Honey Rambo played his game with media, of course, and I knew he was going to do it. Yes, as Ronnie Coleman also said to the interview with you, it's more, of course, the incomes are more higher, top 5 of Olympia. But also Chopin does not belong to the class of 212 anymore. He's growing, he's developing, and would be kind of backwards trying to get lean and flat for the 212.
Yeah, it's a good move. I think most people are very happy that he chose open.
He brings more people, also more audience to the open class. More prestige.
Not only that, I mean, we don't have Big Ramy in the show this year. So there's a lot of, we do have Ahmad Eshkanani in the 212, but I'm sure a lot of the Middle Eastern bodybuilding fans were kind of sad that Big Ramy skipped the Olympia this year, and they didn't have anyone to really root for in the open class. So I assume they're gonna get behind this guy. Not to say that you have to be Middle Eastern to be a Hadi Choopan fan. I'm a fan. You're a fan. Anyone who's a fan of bodybuilding has to appreciate the physique on that guy. He's granite hard. He's so thick and dense. That's bodybuilding.
It's more than money. I mean, if he wins the 212, he gets 40K. If he gets in top 5, he gets 45. It's not a big difference, but the point is, it's very prestigious to be in the top 5 of the Open. Then the doors open to go to top 3, and he's a rising star.
I mean, if he gets first call out with, let's say it's Brandon Curry.
He gets top 5, yes. The first
say
top 5.
Brandon, I'll say this is probably the first call out, most likely. Brandon Curry, Rolly Winkler, William Bonac, Dexter Jackson.
Yes,
Cedric. If he's in really good shape.
Sounds very reasonable to be this guy as the top 5. Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see. Well, Doctor, you had a great idea, because we get the same questions over and over again. Anybody that's an authority on PEDs gets these same 2 questions over and over again. And I thought it was a great idea on your part to tackle these two questions. So let's do it one at a time. We're talking about the best bulking cycle and the best cutting cycle, because that's why people use PEDs. So where would you like to begin?
This is something I have developed extensively to my book, but also when William Welling asked me in 2016 to write down the pro off-season cycle and the pros cutting cycles. Now, in first place, my disclaimer is that these cycles are not only for people who are are not beginners, of course, and they are using steroids for a long time and they're willing to become pros, or they are pros. Okay. And like they say, don't try this at home. This means that it's not something simple, okay? And of course, it's not supposed to treat any kind of disease.
Yes.
Now, these kind of cycles are for, they are separated in 3 different parts. In 12 weeks, the first 4 weeks, then week 5 to 8, and then week 8 to 12. And what it matters is the transition of the drugs. So we do not use the same drugs all the way, but we change. And Rich Piana used to tell that this is very significant, not only for the esters to change, but also the substances have to change, so that, of course, we have the same androgen receptors, but each substance works differently, has a different anabolic and androgenic activity. So, for instance, the off-season cycle would start with a testosterone blend that contains short and long ester, which is the sustanon, the 4 blend. So it's propionate, and also has some others, and andecaonate. So it gets rapidly into the system for the first week in order to notice a kick, but also gets very lately out of the system from the andecaonate that resembles nebido. Right. So 1 to 4, we use as the testosterone, which is the base of each cycle, the sustanon. Then, from 1 to 4, we may use either nandrolone decaonate, okay, or we may use equipos, boldenone, and aceclonate. So, for instance, let's start with test and deca, all right? Yeah. Now, we can also add, of course, there are 2 kinds of off-season cycle pills, the oxymethylone, the anadrol, and the methandrostenolone, the dianabol. Now, for safety reasons, I suggest to use them 4 weeks. 4 weeks sublingually, okay? Now, oxymethylone comes to 50 milligrams. Some people use 100 or 150. Okay, personally, I suggest to use 50 milligrams in 1 dose, of course. And also 50 milligrams of dianabols, that it comes in 3 different doses according to the half-life of 8 hours. So maybe 10, 20, and 20. Okay. No, instead of take 50 milligrams at once. So you can split down dianabol in order to have it all the day within your system. So the first month, the first month from week 1 to 4, use sustanon, for instance, 1,000 milligrams, which is a high dose. Okay, it's 1 gram. Yes. Yeah. Along with 600 milligrams of decadrabolin. All right. Yeah. And 50 milligrams of anadrol, which is oxymethylone. Now, from week 5 to 8, we can use testosterone enanthate. All right, we change the ester, and we use equipos, boldenone and aceclonate. Okay, from 5 to 8, and then the last semester, the last 4 weeks of the off season, we can use testosterone cypionate along with trembolone enanthate. Okay, so it's the long-lasting trembolone. We may also use in the second semester trembolone enanthate along with testosterone enanthate. Okay. Yeah. But also trembolone, the long-lasting trembolone, may be part of the off-season in order to give strength. And strength, of course, may give you muscle development, because not purely strength gives you muscle growth, but if you increase your strength, then you may increase the loading from 8 to 12 reps, the load you lift, okay? Yeah. Also, we have to use antiestrogenic agents. So I think 3 milligrams of anastrozole are necessary. Also, we can use 50 to 100 milligrams of mesterolone, which is proviron. Okay.
This is both daily?
50 milligrams are okay. 50 milligrams, AM, MPM, 25, 25.
Okay.
And there we can also add growth hormone. And we know that during off-season, we want gains. And this comes, of course, out of 8 IUs,
Wow.
4 p.m., 4 p.m. And along with this, we may need also some T3, okay, or T4, not for fat burning, because the abuse of growth hormone may lower your T4, because growth hormone increases the transversion of T4 to T3. Therefore, in the long term, we may notice a drop in T4, and it may cause in TSH. So just for the well-being of the thyroid gland, we may add some 25 micrograms of T4. Besides, they work synergistically and increase your metabolism. But increasing your metabolism does not only mean that you burn, but also you utilize all the nutrients, and all the system works much better.
I've never heard of using T4 during a bulking cycle. This is very enlightening.
Just for the sake of the thyroid gland, in order to be healthier, because it suppresses long-term growth hormone use, suppresses, and this may elevate TSH. Now we may also add either insulin. Okay, so according to the protocol that I described, and also Milos Sarcev believes, a 100 kilogram bodybuilder may use 10 IUs, okay, post-workout, for instance.
Yeah.
Or instead of insulin, which is much better to use, is IGF-1. That is, we may use 50 micrograms post-workout, okay, and preferably after we eat, because before we eat, it's more risky. Remember, Dallas McCarver, he couldn't eat all the necessary nutrients in order to elevate his blood sugar, and he passed out. And of course, subcutaneously, because subcutaneous is purely it's not absorbed that fast, okay, as the intramuscular. Personally, I had tried intramuscular IGF-1, and I start trembling within 1 minute.
Oh wow!
Of the hypoglycemia, even though I had already eaten my meal.
Doctor, I'm just a quick question. We've already talked about how expensive growth hormone is. How much is IGF-1 significantly more expensive than growth hormone?
No, it's way more cheap than.
Really?
Yes.
In Europe.
It works like insulin, but also it liberates the growth effects of growth hormone from IGF-1, but it's way more expensive, the growth hormone, than the IGF-1.
Huh. Okay.
Yes.
Not here in the U.S. It's the opposite. IGF-1 is very expensive. Oh, very hard to get, very expensive. Real IGF-1.
There are different forms of IGF-1. They have the irregular. They also have the LR3, which is more potent, but I think it's more prolonged. Its action, more hours.
Yeah.
And this takes 3 months for the off season. Okay. Now, I forgot to say that in the third semester, from week 8 to 12, we may add a little bit of halo testing just to increase the power. Okay, if we make some powerlifting during the off season, just 10 milligrams pre-workout in order to boost our maximum strength. That will also bring muscle development through the repetitions 8 to 12, but lifting heavier, of course.
Okay.
So we have different pills. We have Anadrol, 17-alkylate, which is really very toxic. So which is Anadrol, Dianabol, and halo testing, 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 4 weeks. We have testosterone, sustanon, then cypionate, then enanthate, and then we have decadurabolin, boldenone, and trebolone enanthate. Okay, 3 pills, 3 testosterones, and 3 anabolics. Not
bad. It's fairly simple.
Yes.
No. So cutting cycle is probably not so simple, I'm guessing.
Yeah, cutting cycle. The cutting cycle is more interesting because we change from drug to drug that reflects to the water retention, and then we move from drug to drug that gets more cleared out of the system, and the effects are drier. So we start with primobolan enanthate, which is weak anabolic, and it has a prolonged half-life due to the enanthate ester, but it's a DHT derivative, does not lead to any water retention. Okay, and we may start this again with some testosterone enanthate because they match in half-life, but also 12 weeks before the show. It doesn't matter. It's okay to use testosterone enanthate. It's no big deal. And this is from week 1 to 4. Okay, from 5 to 8, we switch with testosterone propionate, which is 3 times a week, every other day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then we use we use trembolone acetate, that is every day or every other day. All right, okay. It matches with the propionate ester. As a matter of fact, acetate liberates 90% of the substance, unlike the propionate, which is 80%. And afterwards, we switch the propionate with testosterone suspension, which is water-based, along with water-based Winstrol, stanozolol, that they can be used on a daily basis, pre-workout in the same syringe. Just make sure you shake it well. Yeah, and you use a large needle because the tiny particles over there, they may be able to scratch your skin.
It's little crystals inside, right?
Yeah, so you have to move it really, shake it really rapidly because it's really painful. And never use insulin syringe because they cannot pass through it. Right,
that's crazy.
And after this, we may use paradoxically an oil-based masteron, which is drostanolone propionate, that does not convert to estrogen, of course, because it's synthetic DHT itself. Yeah. And you use this along with the pills, with the stanozolol or oxandrolone, which is anavar, halotestin, of course, and the aromatase inhibitors that are obligatory on a daily basis in order to get very dry, to lower the estrogens that cause the water retention, perhaps to add then aldactone or Lasix, it depends. And of course, yes, T3 and T4, and the growth hormone, but growth hormone can be lowered. Actually, too much of growth hormone may lead also to edema and water retention. So use 4 IUs of growth hormone that is precisely for fat burning. Okay, and some T3 and T4 at 50 micrograms. But personally, I prefer to use thyroid hormones on a pyramid. So go up, hit a plateau, and then go down. Never cut it until in cold turkey. So for instance, 25, 50, and then 25.
Yeah. And I'm assuming clenbuterol?
Yes, of course. Clenbuterol, Ecastac. Yes.
Okay.
And also with clenbuterol, if you have tolerance of receptors, then you may use Zaritan, which is ketotifen. Yes, it's nasty. The cutting is very nasty, and you have a lot of insomnia.
Yes.
Anger, yes, from from a hunger.
Yeah, dieting. I don't think anybody enjoys dieting. And
actually, people look older and when they diet, eh?
Oh, I mean, it's
dehydrated.
It's worse for women because women are supposed to have some fat on their face. So when a woman gets down to having striated glutes, it's almost like a skeleton look. It's a very harsh, haggard look with you can see every bone on their face.
You can actually understand if somebody's really shredded from the cheekbone here, the zygomatic ones, huh?
Yeah, you can see the striations in the jaw muscles.
Yeah.
So this is 3 semesters again, or 3 trimesters,
yes,
I guess maybe.
Yes.
So for the injectables, what are the injectables for trimesters 1, 2, and 3?
So it's testosterone enanthate and primo, then testosterone propionate and trembolone acetate, and then suspension to testosterone with Winstrol, and afterwards we use masteron and the pills.
Okay. Now, what kind of doses on average are somebody at that level probably want to use?
I think which is 1,000 of enanthate along with 600 of primo. Then every other day the propionate comes to 400, for instance, and then the acetate also 100 milligrams every day, 400 also, and then we have the suspension, which is 100 milligrams every day, but some other suspension comes to 25 milligrams only. Okay. Other ampoules, and stanozolol comes in 50 milligrams. So using them every other day goes to 200 and 200.
Okay.
And then you have the masteron that's also 100 milligrams every other day with the pills, sublingually, of course, the pills. Yeah. Yes.
And what about which is Do you have a preferred anti-estrogen or anti-aromatase?
Yes. Arimidex could be for the off season. Never use Novadex because it lowers IGF-1, and you cannot
Okay.
do that good. But also Femara and Aromacin are ideal for the cutting. It's
Femara and Aromacin. Okay.
very nasty. Yes, it's letrozole and exemestane.
And how are they dosed?
2.5 milligrams is the Femara, okay, and the Aromacin is 25 milligrams. Some people during the very last week they use AM and PM. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They totally crush the estrogens, yes, and then you get the steroid lethargy effect from the crushing of estrogens.
Yeah.
You know, also trenbolone crashes on cortisol, which is anti-inflammatory. Sometimes you get sick easier. You know, you lower the hormone, you lower the fat, you lower the calories, and your immune system sucks.
Yeah. But it's as far as the anti-aromatases, I never used much of them in my career at all. It's funny I even call it a career.
You're blessed because of your estrogen receptors.
Yeah, but I will say that Arimidex, I think it's what I used for my last shows in 2013. I used them for the last 4 weeks, and my legs and glutes got harder than they ever did before. And that had to be just because of lowering my estrogen, because I have never done anything to really manage my estrogen.
Well, my best conditioning was before either the aromatase inhibitors with Novadex in 2000.
Okay.
But I was very, very low in body weight. Afterwards, I used anastrozole, and then afterwards I used also letrozole and exemestane. Rich Gaspari just used Novadex, and he was the first in 30 years ago to have striated glutes. So it's part of chemistry, but it's also part of genetics, training, and dieting.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've seen some guys that just never get striated glutes, never.
What do you think, Ron? I mean, everybody trains the same, everybody eats the same, everybody dopes the same. What is the factor that changes according to the person? I believe training is something very misunderstood. There are people more lazy, and there are people that they bust their ass. And there comes a difference, because more or less everybody will eat the same. Nobody will cheat for the show. More or less everybody's going to use the same gear. Okay, some people may use double of the growth hormone, but if you use double of the gear of the anabolic steroids, you may die also. Right. But also training is the factor. I mean, this is the key factor.
I agree.
Yes.
But I hate to rain on anybody's parade, but if your genetics are below average, it doesn't matter how hard you train. It doesn't matter how many drugs
Dorian
you
Yates
use.
was not a super genetically freak like Swiller.
Right. I mean, in terms of shape and in terms of the muscle shape and the muscle bellies, no. But
he had
freaky
legs.
He had a great structure. He was able to get a lot of muscle. He was able to get that muscle.
His arms were casual, were average.
They weren't the greatest. Right.
But
yeah, I agree. In his case, it was the training, definitely the training.
And also, he was very blessed because his hips were kind of wide, but his calves, his separation, his striations, and his arms were supreme. I mean, it matters the whole pack, right?
Yeah. And Gaspari was another one. I believe it was his training. He was genetically blessed with the thin skin and very little body fat.
20 years old, he was flying 100 pounds dumbbells.
He was squatting 700 pounds when he was 18 years old. He was benching 500 pounds when he was 19. And, he's not a giant. This is at like 220, 230 pounds. He wasn't a huge guy.
Yes.
So he was incredibly strong, trained very, very hard.
According to me, Lee Haney was the most complete on Libyan. He has the excellent shape and V-taper. But apart from his stellar chest, everything was in balance. He didn't have the super muscle group like Dorian, for instance. Right. So he was very balanced and the whole package. But the excellent V-taper, like Sergio Oliva and Lee Haney, was the V-shape, the reverse triangle.
Yeah, we call it the X-frame because now you have to have these big sweeping quads too.
Yeah, like Tony Freeman, the X-Man, yes.
Yeah, Tony looked great. All right. Well, Doctor, that's been a great show. And how are people going to find you at the Olympia? Because I'm sure a lot of fans are going to want the chance to meet you.
One more question from the forum, or you want to leave it?
Now let's do questions next time. This has been a special bulking and cutting cycle and Olympia talk. Yeah.
Now, yes, I'll be at the Orleans Arena Hotel, and I have 10 books with me signed. in order to distribute to some friends. They can find me, yes, at the Olympia Expo, of course. I have booked the VIP silver ticket, so I'll be standing beneath the judges. And afterwards, I may have some interviews with you, for instance, yes, and we discuss how I see it, or any other people that they want my opinion about it.
Yeah.
And we shall see. Yes.
Well, you know, it's funny. The Olympia Expo, there's thousands of people, but I see the same people walking because if you walk around, you see the same people over and over again. It's not that hard to find somebody if you're looking for them. You know what I mean?
Will be there. Mark Wahlberg will be there.
Yeah, I don't know how we're gonna. I'd like the chance to meet Mark. I don't know what the odds of that are. He's gonna be slammed at the Weider booth or the AMI booth.
Yeah.
But, we'll see. I'll try.
It seems like we're gonna have a new Olympia.
We'll have a new Mr. Olympia. We're gonna have a new 212 Olympia champ too. So very exciting. By this time next week, we're gonna have two new champions.
Well, it's the end of the dynasties, huh?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna see 7-time winners, 8-time winners.
Yeah, no. It was like after the Arnold's era until the Lee Haney. So it was until 81, 82, and 83. It was changing dramatically. Yes.
We're entering another era like that.
It's more fascinating and less boring. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, look at that era. You had Frank Zane one year, then you had Arnold came back and won, Franco Columbo, you had Chris Dickerson, Samir Bannout, and then it started the Lee Haney era. But we had a lot of different guys in those few years as Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
So, exciting times. Well, Doctor, I'm looking forward to meeting you in real life in a few days. Yeah. It's going to be a good time in Vegas. I'm going to stay indoors because it's like 105 degrees out every day, and I do not like that. So let's stay inside the air conditioning as much as possible. I'll check you out over there. And everybody, if you see us, come say hi. But we do appreciate you guys watching and leaving questions on YouTube videos. You can leave them in the comment section below. We'll get to those. Or to go to the musculardevelopment.com, the Noble Forum. We have a sticky thread, which means it's a dedicated permanent thread called Questions for Dr. T. You can leave your questions there too. And we're always looking for good questions for the doctor to answer for you guys. So yeah, Dr. George, thank you for your time, your expertise. You know, this is 26 shows. We've done
27.
27. You did the math. It's been like 160 questions answered already.
Yes.
So you're doing good work. You're doing a real service to the PED users out there who want to do things a little more safely, a lot more effectively. So thank you very much. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Ask Dr. Testosterone one more time. Check out his book, Bodybuilding, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, at his website, gtoul.com, gtool.com, or you can pick that up on amazon.com. Thanks for watching Ask Dr. Testosterone, and we'll see you after the Olympia.